During election years, the international community pays attention. It presents a very important window where we can push for the case of inclusivity and also conflict transformation. The international partners are more interested to see how they can foster such agenda during period of election. And we have some challenges. For us as the People's Rights Advocacy Platform, our message to the Cameroon government, which we have strategically pushed our agenda to submit to the Cameroon government, our peace plan paper by the end of this year, to give the Cameroon government a window of opportunity to accept this peace plan paper as the basis for negotiation and put autonomy for Ambazonia on the ballot during this presidential election. If the Cameroon government takes this opportunity and put in a autonomy through the devolution of power in the ballot box, our people will have a reason to vote. Right now, the Ambazonian people, all Anglophones, what difference does it make for you to vote? How practical is it for you to vote when we don't have a political settlement? Without any political settlement, any attempt to carry out vote will not be reflective of our population, because only the Cameroon military people are going to be able to vote because they can protect themselves. The vast majority of our population will still face extremists who are using illegal methods, war criminals who are masking themselves as people who are pursuing our legitimate goal for our public interest. We should recognize as Anglophones that we are trapped in between the hard place and a rock. At one side, we have Paul Biya, who is pursuing an agenda of military victory, which is not attainable. On the other side, we have radicals and extremists, war criminals, like Ayabacho, which still uses this war to use illegal methods to massacre our people in the name of fighting for our freedom, while focusing mainly on collecting liberation tax from our population. There is no way you can have election in this condition. This election have given a unique opportunity for the people of Cameroon to join the People's Rights Advocacy Platform to push this agenda of the peace plan paper that Mr. Paul Biya, for your legacy, for the legacy of this Cameroon that we all love growing up, accept a political settlement that is just, that will be accepted by the vast majority of our people, so that in that election you can even have autonomy in the ballot. If the Cameroon government refused to accept our offer that we are offering in this peace plan before the presidential election comes, there is just no way election will be practicable in Ambazonia, because then the only legitimacy people like Ayabacho have is that there is no political settlement. If we have a political settlement, the main reason why our boys are fighting for war will cease to exist. You are going to delegitimize criminals who works in the name of liberators. And people like Ayabacho, who could have been in jail for war crimes that were committed in Ambazonia, still works freely in no way, because Cameroon government himself do not want to put our radicals in prison simply because it serves their purpose. It serves their purpose.
What is it? What's your peace plan? What's the process?
The peace plan paper, which we are going to make public, we have distributed it to all the Ambazonian fighters, is a proposition for an alternative solution to meet the Cameroon halfway. In this peace plan paper, we have made certain concessions that we believe are the hard points that the Cameroon government have insisted in our engagement in negotiation table. One is that we consider that we Anglophones, we the people of the former British Southern Cameroon, are part of Cameroon. Not the French Cameroon, but the Cameroon that both territories came together to form. One people, or one country, two people. In doing this concession, we have proposed that the Cameroon government devolve power, give us effective devolution of power from the constitution that will grant our territory self-governance and autonomy, where we'll be able to elect our own governor, manage our own police force, fire brigade, and even territorial force. Alongside with the Cameroon government, we should have exclusive jurisdiction over certain parts of our own governance. We believe this solution will be the best and it will offer Cameroon an opportunity to stay as one country while maintaining our bilingual nature, as we are two different people from two different backgrounds. This is a big opportunity we are giving to the Cameroon government and to the international community. And we hope that by the end of this year, when we submit it to Cameroon government, we don't believe we have the threshold support from the international community, but we are getting there. Our population is 100% behind our peace plan. Our people are fed up with the war. They are disillusioned by the delusion leaders that we have, who are accusing everybody of being with La Republic. And our population wants this war to come to an end. You have seen publication.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you some questions about Mr. Capo Daniel. You say that 100% of the population are behind your plan of what you call devolution. How do you know that?
That was a stretch, my friend. It wasn't 100%. It's not possible.
I get that. But how do you know that people even support this?
Yes, based on our polling, we have our polling with our population as a whole. We get feedback from our interaction. We have people on the ground. And because it's a war, we can't do things very transparently. But from all the polls we have made, our population is for political settlement. They understand the dynamic of the struggle, and they want us to end the war. And we have a strong mandate from our people, the forces, and our refugees, political prisoners, our diaspora population who wants to go back home. But we all agree as Ambazonians, as Anglophones, that we want freedom. We want separation. Ultimately, we want independence. But we know the possibility of that happening. There is one thing also I want to point to you. This is true, and mark my word. Every Ambazonians or every Anglophone who is fighting for the right of equality, who is fighting for the right of self-determination, for the right of freedom, whatever they are fighting, we all have one thing we have agreed right from the beginning of this struggle, that we do not stand for illegal methods, the killing of our own people. We do not stand for the use of criminal war crimes in persecuting a legitimate aspiration of our people. That is why Eric Tato was rejected for butchering our own people. And that is why today our people are rejecting Ayabacho. In some areas, they are bundling his people who follow his ideology and turning them over to La Republique, because we, as much as our people are fighting for their right of self-determination, we also reject illegal methods, criminal activities against our own people. Our people reject excessive lockdown. And these are the voices we represent in the People's Rights Advocacy Platform that we have struggled with for a long time within the various movements. And we have said that enough is enough. It's time for us to put our people first, put their interests first, and make sure that whatever we push forth as a solution should be paramount to what will meet the demands of our people.
You reference some polls that, and not only you, I've seen a lot of people reference polling that Anglophone Cameroonians want independence. Again, my question I'm not here to justify one thing or the other. I'm just asking straight questions I also get from the other side. What did the questioning or the questionnaire say? Did it say you want independence by war? Or because if you just ask people, do you want independence? A lot of people are going to say yes, of course. But if you ask, do you want independence by war? You perhaps will start getting different answers. What was the question in the polling?
The scientific polling that we can quote publicly was what was done by the AGC of late Cardinal Tumi. People actually, it wasn't on the question, but people went out of their way. 95% of people went out of the questionnaire and filled a part where he asks, what other things do you have to say? They say we want absolute independence. But you are right when it comes to people to ask, what means do you want us to attain that independence? Nobody will choose war, of course. We all know that. And right now, there is no reason for this war to continue. The reason being that Cameroon have conceded. Cameroon have capitulated. They have accepted and recognized that we Anglophones, we are a unit, we are a people that comes from our historical background from being the former British Trust Territory. That alone, that declaration alone, should make us rethink our way forward. That is why my platform, the People's Rights Advocacy Platform, we have said that it is right time for us to end the war and move into a phase of negotiation. And our proposition is autonomy, self-governance for the Anglophone region as a unit, as it is. That is why we are pushing forward for this peaceful solution that will de-escalate the war on the ground and isolate the radicals, because our people are trapped by those who are radical, who are not reasonable, who don't have the interests of the people at heart. People who persecute our own people should not be allowed to continue to run the road of Ambazonia. It should not continue.
Mr. Capo Daniel, you keep referencing Ayabacho as a war criminal, as a radical. If you did not share his ideology, how were you his deputy?
When I was his deputy, remember that this war, Ayabacho have always been the underdog, somebody who have been fighting for relevance and fighting to see the limelight. He was chased out of UK. You have videos of Ambazonia running behind him saying that this is an oil dealer, somebody who is known for scamming. But nevertheless, he had some very dedicated people who follow him and have a very disciplined force in ground zero. And he has been radical all along. And when Seseko Ayoktabi was arrested by the Nigerian government and rendition to Cameroon, we were looking for somebody who could emerge and replace him. And in my good judgment, I thought that I would join Ayabacho. He was supporting me for the most part in my campaign against some ills and war crimes that was being perpetrated in our struggle, primarily by Eric Tato and some other people who were influencing soldiers to carry out some radical and out of law activities. Ayabacho was very supportive of my campaign. And amongst all the leaders, he was the most supportive. When children were killed in Kumba, they were killed in schools in Ekondo Titi, Ayabacho was the only leader that I forced to put out a statement to condemn that attack. No other leader did. So I worked with Ayabacho. We fought against kidnapping. I was named the anti-kidnapping czar. We stood up against all this illegality. But when the Canadian talk ended, he went back to his old self. And it was a matter of desperation, because I could remember when we were dealing with the question of should we have an alliance with the Biafra movement or not. We came to the conclusion basically out of desperation. We're saying that what else do we have to lose? You know, we are fighting to defend ourselves. The international community have not showed up with recognition. So what else do we have to lose? It was just a desperate movement. So we joined the Biafra. And I know not being able to have independence is very desperate to people who have dedicated all their life that it will be independent or nothing. They don't want to have anything with Francophones whatsoever, irrespective of the dynamic. So people who have that mindset, there is something that is wrong with them. And we must accept and learn how to live with such people. In many conflicts, people like that should be put in prison. For the people Ayabacho have killed on ground zero, just like I supported that Eric Tato should go to jail, I will still support for Ayabacho to go to prison for the public execution of innocent people, not combatants. We are fighting a war. Fight against the Cameroon government. That is fair game. But killing our own people, burning down palaces, it's not acceptable.
We're going to extend an invitation to Mr. Ayabacho to respond to you. If he accepted to debate you, would you accept to come have a face-off with him?
A clean mind have no reservation. I'm ready to debate anybody, anywhere. But the people who are going to back out like Chris Anu are people who have blood in their hands, blood of innocent people. They cannot stand the truth, because darkness will always run away when light comes. I am the light in this our struggle. Right from day one, I stood up for principles. We stood up to fight for a genuine and legitimate cause. Anybody who is genuine, fighting for a legitimate cause, cannot turn and embrace illegal methods, cannot turn and embrace war crimes. But I must say,
when you were
people like Ayabacho has been given to us by Pobia. It was
where I'm confused. Yeah, where it's a little confusing to me, Mr. Capo Daniel. When you were ADF senior official, the ADF was not a church group, was not a choir group. It was not a group of saints.
It was the most disciplined. It was the most disciplined group. It fought against kidnapping for ransom. I personally oversaw operation that stopped gangs in Bamenda, over 42 gangs, property were recovered. People who were kidnapped were released. Kidnappers were arrested. We were disciplined under my command. And I think Ambazonia can testify. Even yourself, you can testify to that. I have a very clean record with the ADF. There was no atrocity that was committed under Ambazonian Defense Forces when I was the Deputy Defense Chief. If there was one, I want you to quote it. And each time soldiers on their own carry out atrocity, I take the command responsibility to denounce those activities, reprimand those soldiers, and send a clear message to our people that such behavior are not acceptable. A simple case that happened was the killing of the journalist that happened in Bamenda. That was done when I was a commander in that unit in Tanka. I denounced the killing. We took responsibility. We apologized to the family, and we said that this is not what we stand for. We will not tolerate the killing of journalists. Journalists are a protected group of people, and that was the right thing to do. But today, what we see is Ayabacho, Lucas Ashu, and the rest in that their cartel openly saying that they will not obey international law, publicly executing innocent people, admitting conduct that will make them to look like ISS of Ambazonia. We don't have any place in our society. But unfortunately, the war, without any political solution, you will have people like that who have a semblance of legitimacy because there is no political settlement yet. That is why we are pushing for this solution. And we ask every Ambazonian who wants to see the carnage stop, who wants to see the end of Ayabacho, end of war crimes in our territory, to back a political settlement that is going to delegitimize any radical and extremist movement that roam our street in the name of liberation.
We will be, as I said, we will be inviting Mr. Ayabacho and Mr. Chris Anu for what we call in journalism right of response. Before we ask you a key final question, we have